What is going on, everybody? This is the Negro Shotty, and I'm back again to talk a little bit of Ghost in the Shell. Now, I kind of want to leave this issue alone after today. I'm going to leave this issue alone. Hopefully, I don't have to repeat myself for the Death Note live action movie that's coming out on Netflix in, I believe, August. Now, hopefully, I won't have to repeat myself then, but I'm just gonna leave Ghost in the Shell alone after this. I'm a try to not talk about this whole whitewashing bull crap that people like to put out there, especially with these live action adaptations of anime and stuff like that. But I kind of need to say, like, I kind of feel like I need to say this, and I know I'm gonna piss a lot of people off from what I say, and listen to what I say carefully in this video, please. Before you dislike the video, just hear me out. Just freaking hear me out. Because over the weekend, so I'll say this. Let me paint you guys a picture. So I want to say Ghost in the Shell was made for like a bucket ton of money. Like Ghost in the Shell was made for millions of dollars, and it is not like we're like it's pretty much clear at this point that we are not going to get a sequel. I'll be very surprised if we get a sequel. I hope that we get a sequel to this movie because I think it deserves it. I think it deserves it more than a lot of movies that get a sequel. And it's sad because I don't think this movie is going to make its budget back. I don't even think this movie, I think it might have made I think it might have made maybe 20 million, 19 to 20 million over the weekend, which is way lower than what was projected for the movie to make. I believe that's around the ballpark that it made. Maybe 19, 20 million. Maybe I think it was 17 million. I can't remember the numbers of the box office, but I know it was a low number. I know that it made lower than its expectations. And now I really got to say I told you so for a lot of these people that were saying that they should have casted a Asian actor or whatever. Well, put it this way: if they would have casted an Asian actor, this movie would have made probably far less, and the movie wouldn't have been any better than it was. And for some people, I've heard a lot of people rag on this movie and talk about this movie. And I've been just listening to people's reviews and everything. And it seems like a lot of people either didn't give this movie a fair chance, or some people just felt like it was very generic in its story. I heard somebody say that the Ghost in the Shell movie, didn't have any story to it. That was completely skipped on the story. It was a little bit of story there, and that the pacing was bad. And I was like, huh? Like I was thinking to myself as I was watching these reviews and everything. It's like, what? The story? There was way more story in this movie than in Mad Max, for example. Let's just use Mad Max for an example. I'm one of the rare people that did not like the Mad Max movie. Why didn't I like that movie? For one thing, it didn't really have a story to it. There was barely any dialogue, and like there was just a lot wrong with the Mad Max movie to me. And I honestly gotta say, like to me, Ghost in the Shell is leagues better than Mad Max in my opinion. And it's like, okay, you say that Ghost in the Shell barely has a story to it, that these characters don't feel fleshed out or whatever, but it's like, but you gave Mad Max got all these high praises and awards and everything like that. But honestly, there's more going on. I feel like there's more going on that a lot of people didn't get from this movie, because I've been hearing a lot of people say some things that made me question if they were really paying attention to this movie, and if they really got what this movie was trying to say, and what this movie was going for. And to get to the point of this video, pretty much people are complaining about one plot point in this movie, and I'm gonna put a spoiler warning up for this video. I'm probably gonna put spoilers in the video title so that nobody gets spoiled, because I'm gonna have to go into spoilers here. So leave this video if you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell yet, or if you don't care about spoilers or whatever, you can stay, whatever. But pretty much there is this point in the movie that has a lot of people saying that this movie is completely racist. And before I get into that point, I want to point something out, because there are a lot of people that keep throwing out that word racism. Racism is racist. It's racist. It's whitewashing. Now here's something that I want to point out to you, because there was literally nothing racist in this movie. It was actually like I was saying in my review, it's not a diverse cast. It's not as diverse as the Death Note movie is going to be, but it is still more diverse than a completely Asian, completely Japanese version of this film would be or would have been. But I'll say this: people calling this movie racist, you don't know it seems like people have forgotten what the meaning of racism, what the meaning of races of being racist means. Like I like let me go ahead and just read the definition of racism or racist all off to you guys. Like this is the definition of racism, or being a racist. It's a person who shows or feels discrimination or prejudice against a group of people or races, or who believes that they're better than a particular race, or that one race is more is that one race is pretty much better than the other. Pretty much, it's pretty much showing. It's like showing or feeling discrimination or prejudice against one another. That's like you get it. But like there was nothing in this movie. There's literally nothing in this movie that was racist. I'm sorry. And I wonder how many Asian people are mad about this movie. How many Asian people are crying about, okay, this movie is racist. I really want to know. If you're Asian and you think this movie is racist, comment down below. Put a comment down below, because I haven't heard any white people. Well, I haven't heard any Asian people talk about this movie being racist. It's mostly been a bunch of social justice warriors who I'm pretty sure is pretty much white people, and maybe some black people and whatever. But I haven't heard any Asian people say that this movie is racist. I haven't heard any people like complain about this movie that are like Asian or whatever. So like all this crap about it being racist, I'll say this, because there's this point in the movie that everybody is getting up at arms about. There's this point in the movie where everybody's getting angry about and saying, okay, this is racist. They shouldn't have done that. This was in poor taste. There's a point in this movie that pretty much the major, she goes back and she finds out that Henka has been telling her lies, that the Henka Corporation had been telling her lies about her past and everything. So she goes to a apartment building, and she meets up with this woman who turns out to be her mother. And pretty much it's revealed there, and also a little bit, I want to say a little bit before that scene, that she used to be this Asian girl. She used to be this little Asian girl, right? And she ran away from home, and what Henko was doing, what the corporation was doing, that was making the shells that were making those robotic bodies. They were pretty much taking runaways. They were taking runaways and putting their brains in these machines, right? And here's the thing: people are getting angry because, okay, this girl, she's technically Asian, right? And so they put the Asian's brain into a white shell, a white robotic shell that just so happens to be, Scarlett Johansson as the white shell. But here's the thing, and some people saw that as being racist. Okay, so here's my argument. Now, here's my argument. What is the whole point of this movie? What was this movie? What was the themes of this movie? And what was this movie? What was the big questions for this movie? This movie there were a few big questions for this movie. Obviously, it was dealing with identity. It was dealing with identity. It was dealing with what is the major still the major? Is she still who she is? What makes her who she is? What makes us as human beings who we are? Because they took Major's brain, they took the girl's brain and put it into this robot. But now she's basically all robot. But you know what? Her soul, her brain, it's still intact. It's still in there. So is she still her? And the movie answers that question for you. She is who she is. She is still that Asian girl. She's still the same girl. She's just been put in this white shell. And people had a problem with, okay, this Asian woman getting put into this white shell. I will say this, because this is I feel as though people are kind of really missing the point with this. You can't really say this movie is racist, right? Because I'm seriously starting to think that people just don't understand what racism means or what racist is. And I tried to give you guys the definition earlier. It's like you're really upset with putting a Asian girl in a white woman's brain. I mean in a white woman's body, right? And like the movie even explains it, because it refers to the robotic body as being the shell, and her mind, her brain, her soul as being the ghost. That's what they called it, the ghost. So the ghost in the shell, which is ironically the name in the movie, the ghost being her brain, being her soul, and the body being the shell, the mechanical body, the robotic body being the shell. But she is still who she is. The shell, her body is mechanical, but she is still a human being. And that's what is making her human, is her soul, is her ghost. And that is really like she never stopped being that Asian girl. And I think that's what people are kind of missing, a piece of this movie, because it, like, to me, almost like putting the Asian girl in the white woman's body, having her be Asian in the movie, having an Asian mother and having her being Asian and being put into that white shell. It makes a lot of sense in the context of the movie. Actually, it really does, because it's not like, okay, it's not like they just sat there at the Henka Corporation and was like, okay, we got this Asian girl's brain. Should we make an Asian shell? Should we make an Asian shell for her? Should we put the brain in an Asian body? Because I'm pretty sure that there weren't any Asian bodies. There weren't any Asian shells. The shell that she was put in just so happens to be a white woman robotic body, right? And I will say this, because this is another point that I was thinking about, earlier when I was thinking about this movie. I have two major arguments here. One is that the people that designed her, they showed the doctor in the movie and the white guy who was like the head of the Hanka Corporation. uh, the people that designed her were white. They were freaking white. If they were black, then I'm pretty sure the Asian girl's brain would have been put in a black body, because it would be more likely that they would have designed a black woman as being the shell, because that's what people do. They identify with their own race. And also, I found it kind of intriguing that the doctor kind of treats the major like that was her daughter, pretty much. Like to some degree, she actually cares about the major in the movie. So perhaps perhaps we can speculate that she was designed after maybe somebody that she knew, or somebody that was maybe close to somebody at Henka. But either way, in real life, pretty much models for literally everything, like models for anything. Like when we're talking about like video game characters, and Barbie dolls, for instance. As soon as I said the word Barbie doll, like if I ask you, like if I say to you Barbie doll, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? It's a white Barbie doll. More than likely, it's a white Barbie doll that's gonna come into your mind, because it's like most things that are made are white. They're always gonna be those Caucasian it's always going to be Caucasian, more than likely. I mean, look at any advertisement, and any advertisement or any like modeling for stuff, it's mostly white people majority of the time. Like it's more than likely that, you know, it's more than likely that, like I said before, that most of the shells that the Henkel Corporation made were just happen to be white because for some reason it feels like, and it's not even just in this movie because it really goes back to really everything in American, I guess everything in American society, where like anytime you see a model for literally anything, it's always going to be a white person uh, being that model. Like 90% of the time, it's going to be a white person being that model. Like look at most of the lead actors in Hollywood. They're like, yeah, most of them are white. Look at the video game, like I mentioned earlier, most of the video game characters that you see, or even cartoon characters, most of them are white. Most of our superhero characters are white. So you see what I'm saying? Like it made sense that the shell is going to be a white shell. It's not like they just sat there and was like, okay, we got these Asian people brains, so let's go ahead and make an Asian person shell. You know, like that's what I think about this whole racism, whitewashing thing about Ghost in the Shell. I don't think it's an issue. I don't even think the movie's bad at all. But I don't think that we're going to be getting a sequel. That makes me feel sad, and honestly, I feel like a lot of people kind of missed the point of this movie. So hopefully I kind of made you think a little bit with this video, because I really think that I have a point here, because there's a few people out there that just like they're not hearing anything that a lot of the people who can kind of look past, because this movie by no means this movie is perfect, because it's not perfect, but you can look past the movie's faults and see that this is a good movie. It's not great, but it's good. And like all this thing about racism, and they should have casted a Asian actor and all this crap. You know, all of that is just background noise. Judge the movie for what it is, like what it is. Like, don't judge it, you know, based on, because I think another problem is that people are kind of comparing this to the source material, and I guess you can kind of say, well, it is an adaptation, but it's like comparing a Marvel movie. It's like comparing Civil War, like Marvel Civil War, from the comics to the MCU version of the Civil War. Like, you're not going to get a one-to-one, like a one-to-one thing there. You know, there's going to be some differences in the movie version versus the comic book version. So, you know, that's all I really have to say on this subject. Let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure a lot of you people are gonna hate this video, dislike it, whatever. Do what you got to do. But that is my final verdict on all this whitewashing crap about Ghost in the Shell, and also the movie itself. I think people should go out and see it. I hope that we get a sequel. I'm pretty sure we're not going to, because there are a lot of people that were just. I think there were people that were pretty much rooting for this thing to fail. They were just rooting for this thing to fail, you know, right out of the gate. So for those people who are rooting for this thing to fail, well, I know you guys are happy now, so you can go back and watch the Ghost in the Shell anime series. And if there's an Asian live action adaptation, I bet you'll sit there and watch that and act like it's the greatest thing in the world, and act like. Here's one thing before I close this video out. One of my concerns is that, you know, after this movie, after Ghost in the Shell leaves the theaters, Hollywood isn't going to try again. Hollywood's not going to try again, because they're going to see that pretty much the audience isn't liking it. The critical reception of the movie isn't too good, and I'm hoping that isn't the takeaway from this movie. Anything that they did wrong with this movie, I hope that they take that to heart. I hope that the Akira movie. I was hearing over the weekend that the guy that did Get Out, Jordan Peele, that he might be like he was in the talks. He's in talks for doing the Akira movie. I hope he takes it, because Get Out was a good movie, and we kind of need a fresh take on these live action adaptations, and maybe he can do something with it because he tackled a race based horror film. And if race is the central issue of all these live action anime movies, who better than to do a Akira movie than somebody like Jordan Peele, who just did the Get Out movie. So let me know what you guys think about the Ghost in the Shell movie. I'm out of here. Peace.